The investigator told her she'd committed a federal crime by destroying military property without authorization. Every item was documented with photos, receipts, and certificates I'd stored in the cloud. Aunt Barbara's screaming stopped cold when Agent Martinez listed what she'd trashed. A 1952 Mickey Mantle rookie card, first edition Superman comics, and my grandfather's way memorabilia. The real question: how did she get into my storage unit after I'd removed her from the access list? My name is Marcus Webb, Master Sergeant, U.S. Army, currently standing in my empty storage unit in Houston while home on emergency leave. 6 months ago, I left for deployment to Kuwait, trusting that my carefully secured collection would be waiting when I returned. Instead, I'm staring at bare walls and a single note in my aunt's handwriting. Finally cleaned out this mess. You can thank me later. Aunt Barb. Let me explain how a lifetime of collecting became junk in the eyes of someone who thought anything that wasn't jewelry or designer handbags had no value. I started collecting when I was 8. The year my grandfather died and left me his World War II memorabilia. Nothing museum-worthy to most people: patches, medals, photos, letters home. But Grandpa had served with the 442nd Infantry Regiment, the most decorated unit in U.S. military history, comprised almost entirely of Japanese Americans who fought for a country that had interned their families. His collection told a story that textbooks overlooked. My mother, Grandpa's daughter, understood the value, not monetary, but historical. She helped me preserve everything properly, taught me about archival storage, encouraged my growing interest in military history. When kids were trading Pokemon cards, I was carefully cataloging military insignia. The collection grew. Comic books from estate sales, first appearances of major characters bought for quarters before anyone cared about grading. Sports cards from the 1950s and 60s found in dusty boxes at flea markets. Military memorabilia from every American conflict. By high school, I had a part-time job just to fund my collecting habit. My mother passed when I was 22, just after I enlisted. That's when Aunt Barbara entered the picture. Mom's older sister, who'd been estranged for years over some family drama I never fully understood. She showed up at the funeral, all tears and regret, promising to be there for me. Your mother would want family to look after family, she'd said, clutching my hands. I know we had our differences, but you're all I have left of her. I was grieving and about to deploy for the first time. Having family seemed better than having no one. I should have paid attention to how her eyes inventoried Mom's jewelry during the service. For 10 years, Aunt Barbara played the role of caring aunt when it suited her. She'd call before holidays when she needed money. Visit when I was stateside, when she needed a place to crash. Express interest in my life when she wanted to know my deployment schedule. The storage unit became necessary when I made sergeant and faced longer deployments. I couldn't keep dragging collections from base to base, and base housing wasn't secure enough for items now worth serious money. I rented a climate-controlled unit in Houston, installed my own security camera system, and spent weeks organizing everything. The comic collection alone had grown to over 3,000 issues, including a near-mint Amazing Fantasy number 15, Spider-Man's first appearance. I bought from an old man whose kids didn't want his funny books. The sports cards filled 40 boxes, organized by year and condition. The military collection had expanded to include items from every major American conflict, each piece researched and authenticated. I documented everything. Photos of each item, receipts when I had them, authentication certificates for the valuable pieces, all backed up to 3 different cloud services because I'd learned redundancy in the Army. The total insured value, $2.3 million. Why do you waste money on this junk? Barbara asked when she helped me move boxes. You could be investing in real estate or the stock market. This is my investment, I explained, showing her a graded comic that had appreciated 400% in 5 years. And its history. Grandpa's medals. Our old war stuff, she interrupted. Marcus, honey, you need to think about your future. What woman is going to want a man who hoards old papers? I stopped sharing my collecting passion with her after that. She was on my storage unit access list only for emergencies. If something happened to me, someone needed to know the value of what was there. I specifically told the storage facility manager that she could enter only with my written permission or death certificate. Before this deployment, something felt off. Barbara was too interested in my schedule, too eager to be helpful. 6 months in Kuwait? That's so long. Let me help with anything you need, she offered. Storage unit payments? Mail? I'm here for you. Everything's on autopay, I told her. But thanks. I even called the storage facility. I'm updating my access list. Please remove Barbara Webb. No one enters without my explicit permission. Understood, Sergeant Webb. We've made the notation. I deployed feeling secure. My collections were safe, insured, and inaccessible. I focused on my mission, leading my squad, staying alive. Barbara sent supportive emails about how proud she was, how she was praying for my safety. Standard aunt stuff that I appreciated from 7,000 miles away. Then, 4 months into deployment, the email came. Hey sweetie. Hope you're staying safe. Tito, I did you a huge favor. Cleaned out that storage unit full of all that old junk. You won't believe how much I got done in just one weekend. The Goodwill guys said it was the biggest donation they'd ever received. You can thank me when you get home. Now you won't waste money on that expensive unit anymore. Love, Aunt Barb. My hands shook as I read it again. And again. Surely she was joking. She had to be joking. I called the storage facility immediately, despite it being 3 a.m. Kuwait time. Sergeant Webb. Yes, ma'am. Your aunt came by with written authorization from you. Email dated last month, stating you wanted the unit cleared due to financial constraints. She had movers and everything. What email? I never sent any email. Sir, it came from your military email address. My blood ran cold. I'd made one mistake. Letting Barbara use my laptop during my pre-deployment leave to check Facebook. She must have accessed my saved passwords, sent the email, then deleted it from my sent folder. Did you verify? Call me? Anything? The email said you'd be unreachable on mission and to deal only with your authorized representative, Ms. Webb. She was on your previous access list, so I hung up and immediately filed for emergency leave. Then I called my insurance company, my lawyer, and finally Barbara. Oh, you got my email. Isn't it wonderful? That unit was costing you $300 a month, and all that junk was just collecting dust. That junk was worth $2.3 million, I said quietly. Silence. Then, what? No. It was just old papers and toys, including Grandpa's Medal of Honor. The one he earned saving 3 men's lives. The one you threw in the garbage. Medal of? Marcus, I didn't. You're exaggerating. It couldn't be worth. I'm landing in Houston in 12 hours. Do not move. Do not leave your house. We need to talk. But first, I had work to do. My lawyer had already started the insurance claim. My documentation was impeccable. Photos of every item, detailed inventories, authentication papers. The storage facility's security footage showed Barbara directing movers to throw everything into trucks. She'd even signed receipts at Goodwill, creating a paper trail of her destruction. When I arrived at the storage unit, Agent Martinez from the FBI was already there. Insurance fraud over $1 million triggered federal involvement, especially when it involved active military personnel. Sergeant Webb, we've reviewed your documentation. This is one of the most thoroughly cataloged collections I've ever seen. He showed me his tablet with my photos. Every comic book individually photographed and graded. Military items with full provenance. Authentication certificates for everything valuable. You were meticulous. I'm a soldier, sir. Attention to detail keeps you alive. It's also going to help us prosecute your aunt. She's already admitted to accessing your email without authorization and forging the clearance letter. That's identity theft, wire fraud, and destruction of property over $1 million. All federal crimes. When we arrived at Barbara's house, she'd clearly been crying. "Marcus, thank God you're here. This is all a misunderstanding." "Ma'am," Agent Martinez interrupted, "I need to inform you that you're under investigation for federal crimes. You have the right to an attorney." Barbara's tears turned to rage. "Federal crimes? For cleaning out junk? Marcus, tell them." "Tell them what? That you hacked my email? That you destroyed a collection I spent 20 years building? That you threw away Grandpa's medals that honored his service while his family was in internment camps?" "I didn't know." "Because you never asked. You never cared. You saw boxes and assumed trash because it wasn't something you could wear or show off." Agent Martinez pulled out photos from Goodwill's security cameras. "Ma'am, can you explain why you told the donation center that your nephew was a hoarder who needed tough love?" Barbara went pale. "I was trying to help. By specifically waiting until he was deployed and couldn't stop you." He showed another document. "We have your text messages to your friend Linda. Finally got into that storage unit. Going to teach my nephew a lesson about wasting money on garbage. He'll thank me when he sees how much I'm saving him." The investigation revealed everything. Barbara had been planning this for months. She'd researched how to access military email, waited until I was deployed, and systematically destroyed everything. What she hadn't counted on was the documentation, the insurance, or federal investigators who took destruction of military personnel property very seriously. The Goodwill had sold some items before I could recover them. My amazing fantasy number 15 went to a dealer for $50 who flipped it for $45,000 within a week. Some military items ended up in an antique shop. But the damage was done. 20 years of careful collecting destroyed in a weekend. Why? I asked Barbara during one of the depositions. "What did you gain?" She couldn't meet my eyes. I thought if you didn't have all that junk tying you down, you'd invest in something sensible. Maybe help family who needed it instead of hoarding old papers." There it was. She'd seen my collection as money that should have been hers. Every dollar spent on junk was a dollar not available for her to borrow and never repay. The federal case was straightforward. Barbara pled guilty to avoid trial, wire fraud, identity theft, and destruction of property. The judge, a veteran himself, was particularly unsympathetic to someone who targeted deployed military. "Ms. Webb, you didn't just destroy property, you destroyed history. Military medals that honored sacrifice. First edition comics that brought joy to generations. Sports cards that connected fathers and sons. And you did it out of greed and ignorance, targeting your nephew while he served his country overseas." She got 18 months in federal prison and was ordered to pay full restitution, $2.3 million she didn't have. Her house, car, and retirement accounts were seized. She'd spend the rest of her life paying me back. The storage facility's insurance covered some losses, as did my personal policy. Combined with the restitution order, I'll eventually recover financially. But some things can't be replaced. Grandpa's medals are gone forever. The comics I'd hunted for years vanished. Each item had a story, a memory attached. I've started collecting again slowly. Other veterans have reached out, offering pieces from their collections to help rebuild mine. A comic shop owner who bought some of my issues from Goodwill returned them at cost when he heard the story. The military collecting community especially rallied. Grandpa's unit insignia was rebuilt through donations from other 442nd families who understood the history's importance. Barbara writes from prison sometimes. Apologies mixed with justifications, requests for forgiveness wrapped in subtle asks for money. I don't respond. Some things, once broken, can't be fixed with sorry. My new storage unit has better security, biometric locks, 24/7 monitoring, and no family on the access list. The collection grows slowly but surely. Each piece is still documented, photographed, backed up to the cloud that saved me once before. And sometimes, late at night in the barracks, I pull up those photos on my laptop. Not for the monetary value, though seeing that Mickey Mantle card still hurts, but for the memories. Each item was a moment in time, a piece of history saved from being forgotten. That's what Barbara never understood. It was never about the money. It was about preservation, connection, honoring the past while building a future. She saw junk where I saw stories. She saw waste where I saw investment, not just financial, but cultural, historical, personal. The investigator was right about one thing. I was meticulous. In the Army, we learned that attention to detail isn't just about following orders. It's about being prepared for the unexpected, documenting everything, having contingencies. I just never expected the enemy to be family, or the battlefield to be a storage unit in Houston. But like any good soldier, I adapted, overcame, and rebuilt. The collection grows again, one piece at a time. And somewhere in federal prison, my aunt is learning that one person's junk really can be another's treasure, especially when that treasure is worth $2.3 million and comes with FBI investigators. Lesson learned: always back up to the cloud. You never know when someone might try to delete your life while you're defending your country.